Hi there, my name is Daniel Scott and I'm an Adobe certified instructor for Illustrator. Now this is the update videos for the latest release of 2019 Adobe Illustrator. Okay, they're up to the 23rd version of the software. Okay, I learned it way back in 1997 at design school. It was version 7, so we've come a long way. So what I've done is I've curated this. Okay, so all I've really done is put it in an order of what I think are the best, most exciting updates all the way through to, not the worst, it's best to more obscure or I guess just smaller changes. So the big stuff to the end. There are also exercise files that you can download so that you can play along with me in the tutorial. Okay, they're free to download. There'll be a link on the screen here somewhere. Every time I point to it, it ends up moving, so it'll be on the screens here somewhere. The other thing is if you like my teaching style, you might want to check out my full Illustrator courses. There's an Essentials and an Advanced. But enough of that, let's get started and check out all the new features. All right, my most favorite feature in the new version of Illustrator 2019 is Global Edit. Sounds lame, but it is pretty amazing. If you're following along, go to the exercise files and open up Global Edit. Now zoom out. And it's really handy for this type of thing where I've got multiple artboards and there's a lot of things that repeat on a lot of them. Now I need to make a change. And if you've done any of my classes, you'll know that, say, I have real big problems with arrows and ticks. Okay, I spent ages trying to decide the perfect one and change my mind a load of the way through. So I want to change this arrow, but imagine if there was a way I could do them all at the same time. With it selected with my selection tool, look at this guy. He's the new thing. Okay, start global edit, click it. And what really happens is, if I zoom out, you can see it's selected not only this guy, but all the other instances of him. Now I say instances, there's no like special thing here. I didn't connect them as symbols. It just happened to match, and Illustrator is super clever. And why this is good is if I grab my white arrow here, my direct selection tool, I'm gonna zoom in and I'm going to kind of play around with my arrow, give it kind of rounded corners. Imagine if, zoom out, come over here, there is nothing connecting them, just magic in Illustrator. Let's do the same for this tick up the top here. Let's say I do this one in the middle. I'm gonna zoom in, I'm gonna say start global edit. I'm gonna grab this kind of rounded corner thing here. If you haven't used the rounded corners much, just click on them once and just drag them up. And hopefully over here, zoom out, zoom back in. Terrible zooming, Dan. Okay, but you can see they're all updating at once. Super useful for kind of global updates. Now this is quite similar to a feature they've got called Select Same. I want to show you this because it's super helpful, and I'll show you one of the extra benefits for global edit. Because let's say we're working with this and we're changing the UI color. We're not going to use this kind of mandarin red here. So I'm going to select it with my white arrow, any of these kind of red graphics, and go to Select, Same, and Fill Color. You might not know that's there. That's super helpful. This is not new, but it goes through the whole document. You can see highlights all the red bits. I can go through and just pick a new color. So that's helpful. But what happens is I'm going to undo. Let's say I want to do just this button here. This is where it gets super clever. The software engineers at Illustrator somehow magically worked out a way of saying, I want this rectangle. I want to start global edit, and it goes off, and you can see it's not picking just rectangles over the place. So it's not picking this top one, it's picking just these guys that are used. Nice, huh? We can go through and then just change these colors. So use Select Same for changing all of the colors, but then use this global edit just to do kind of unique things that are similar across all different artboards. It doesn't even have to be across artboards. It can be within the document. All right, so global edit is amazing, and it seems to kind of just know what I want when I'm selecting things. But there are times where it's too clever for its own good. So I'm gonna grab my black arrow, I'm gonna click on the circle here, and I'm gonna say, I'd like to start my global edit. And it's cool, it's grabbed this one and this one, which I wanted, but it's also grabbed these objects down the bottom here. See these smaller circles? It's clever, but it's not what I wanted. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into here and I'm gonna turn the option that says, actually just match these circles as long as they're the same size. You can see by turning that on, it's just got these two selected now. So now I can go through and pick a color. Any color. Now what you might find is you can see it's changing here, but not changing this one. I just need to hit return on my keyboard or enter, and it kind of updates. Cool, huh? So you can kind of give it a little bit of extra help. Now I'm only working on a 3-page artboard here. You might be working on, like I've got some banner ad jobs that I do, and man, I've got like 30 different sizes. It's super handy when you can select the specific thing, give it a little bit more refinement over here. Other things in here that might help you, There's appearance as well, size, you can turn on and off. Down here, you could say, I want to select circles, but only that are on this artboard 1. Or you can see it's deselected here, or you might say between artboards 1 and 2, or 1 and 50. Or if you put in commas, say I've got 1 and 3. I've only got 3 artboards, so I've only got 3 artboards, but you get the idea, right? Also in here, you can select all artboards, or you might pick just the portrait artboards or landscape or the square artboards. I have no real idea why that's useful. Somebody spent some time putting it in here. You might know. I'm thinking maybe landscape tablet and portrait tablet. Maybe you've got designs that alternate that way. Responsive design. Let me know in the comments if you can think of maybe it's your job and you're like, man, that's gonna really help me. Let me know so I know why that's there. What is useful though is include objects on canvas. So at the moment it's ignoring anything that's in this pasteboard area. But let's say you do want to say you're one of those people who end up doing this. You end up modifying things all the time and you end up with this kind of like trail to Narnia. Anybody know of designers like this? You don't realize that there's so much stuff out here. Okay, what you can do is you can say, I want to select this, but I also want to include everybody that's out in the canvas as well. There you go, start global edit, and they're all selected all the way out there. Now, one thing before we move on is it doesn't work at the moment for text and images, which is a bummer. I'd love to be able to go click on this and go through and at least select all the text so I can update the text easily. I know you could probably use character styles or something else. If anybody knows of a way other than the select, same, and maybe any of these, if you can think of a way of selecting all that specific font, or because that's what I want you, and you to do an update. Let me know in the comments if you know a way. All right, let's get on to the next feature. All right, the next most amazing feature is something called the Freeform Gradient. Now you could argue gradients are right in right now, and if you're one of the people using it, trying to do anything other than a linear or radial gradient, maybe you're one of these people, okay, gradients are in, especially in this kind of UI sense. What you've probably tried to use is something called the gradient mesh, and you'll know if you've used it, man, it's painful. Get ready to be blown away. To make it work, let's click on the fin here with the black arrow. Let's grab the gradient tool, and where the magic happens is over here in your properties panel. There's a normal linear, radial, and then this one, the freeform gradient. Give it a click. It's gonna do some magic over here. Sometimes it gives you just one spot. If I grab this one here and do the exact same thing, I wanna show you both ways because sometimes yours might operate a little differently. So I'll show you, same thing, gradient tool, freeform gradient. This one here picks up a bunch of colors. It tries to kind of guess colors from your swatches. I actually don't know where it gets its colors from. I think a mixture of swatches and nearby colors, some sort of Illustrator voodoo. I'm gonna undo that. So I'm gonna grab the fin here, grab my gradient tool, and I've just got one spot. Basically, I can double click it and I can change the color. You can either use your color mixer or your swatches. I'm gonna use the swatches. I'm gonna start with blue, hit escape to kind of close that window. I'm gonna zoom in. And what we can do is just click anywhere else. I'm gonna say I want one there. I'm gonna double click it and I say you are the green color. Cool, huh? Well, actually not that cool at the moment. It's just a linear gradient. But if you put in a third one, double click here, I'm gonna put in the blue again. You can see now we're getting somewhere. I'm gonna click down here, I'm gonna put in the green again. You can put in dots anywhere you like, and you don't have to battle with a gradient mesh. You can do a few things, you can move them. Very exciting. I'm gonna add another one just because it looks a little nicer. I practiced. I'm trying to make it look nice anyway. If you add one that you don't like, just click it, hit delete on your keyboard. You can play around with the extent. If you click on one, can you see this dotted line with the little dot at the bottom? Grab it, drag it out, drag it in. It's just the spread and how wide that gradient goes. Now it gets better, okay? I'm going to grab my black arrow, click on the body here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna grab my gradient, go freeform gradient tool, or freeform gradient button. It's giving me just one. I'm gonna change him back to the green. And then what I'm gonna do is I want to have a kind of a line of them. Imagine if there was a line option. Okay, so I'm gonna click on lines. What it's gonna do is I'm gonna click once. That's giving me a funny color. I'm gonna double click it. I'm gonna say, actually, I want to get the blue. To close this down, you either click on the dot or hit escape key on your keyboard. But you can see now, because I enabled that lines, I've got this thing that wants to join out. So I'm gonna click on once. And if you've ever used the curvature tool, you'll know how this works. If you haven't, curvature tool is an amazing new tool that came out in the last version. I love it. But it kind of just easily joins curves. I don't have to click and drag with anchor points, all that jazz. Let's click once, click again, and I click there. I'm gonna go around here, and you can see it just does lovely, lovely curves. So my gradient will follow that curve to get it. It's still connected, right? Won't let go, get off. You hit escape on your keyboard, just disconnects it. I can grab this dot and just move him around, and you'll see, can you see he's got this lovely kind of force field of blue around this line here. I'm going to switch it back to points because I want to add another color. Well, actually, I just want to add the green again to kind of really accentuate that kind of line that I've drawn. All right, last little trick with the Freeform Gradient tool is not the trick. I just want to try and save some grace with that average gradient. Is I was doing this logo, right? It's for my company, Instructor HQ. I made this logo a couple of months ago. It looks like this kind of when it's finished. And I spent ages trying to mess with gradient meshes and trying to get I guess a non-linear gradient. I wish this tool was around for it, and especially in this case, because I want it to look like it's not just getting darker, but disappearing. So with it selected, Gradient tool, click on Freeform Gradient, it picks a couple of dots. This first dot is going to be that color. And this one here, I'm going to add to the darker color, but back here, I'm going to double click it. I want the opacity to be at 0. So it's not really, actually I want to get the spread up a bit as well. So it's not only just disappearing, kind of like getting darker, it's actually see-through. Okay, so I'm going to drag this across here so you can see it's actually poking through, just let the background through. That's the element that I wanted to do. So all you need to do is Gradient tool, double click any of the swatches and just switch it, the opacity down to 0. I'll select this one, grab the eyedropper tool, switch them around, look at that, easy. If you are an instructor or want to become an instructor, check out instructorhq.com. My little cross-sell over, let's get into the next best feature in Illustrator. All right, the next feature is to do with fonts, and Adobe are calling it Enhanced Visual Font Browsing. Play along, open up the font browsing file. With the black arrow, I'm going to click on the text, so select any text box to get this going, and you'll notice over here, okay, the character panel. If you click this little drop down over here, you'll notice things have changed, and I think they're for the better. Now, the best thing is you can see the preview text over here. You can decide to look at small stuff, big stuff, really big stuff. Just gives you a better sense of the font. And also at the moment, it's giving you, can you see it says the word can you send, which is pulling from over here. But you might say, actually, it's not the text that I want to see. I want to go to selected text, and you can pick typography. So at least they're all looking a bit consistent, and it's one word and it's title case. You've got quick brown fox, you've got uppercase, you can look at all the kind of glyphs, all sorts of other options of kind of viewing them over here. I'm gonna go back to selected text. Actually not, I'm gonna go back to typography. I'm not sure why I like that one the best, just nice and clear and consistent. Another new option in here is this one here. It's the show recently added. So it's going to show you the fonts that you've just added to your computer, okay, the most recent ones. So if you just installed something from Typekit or just installed something onto your computer, it's just going to appear at the top because often that's what you want. You've installed one, you want to find it. But make sure when you're finished, click it off again. You can see the little icon on off. A couple of things I've moved around is you can see all my fonts down here. And instead of having, see these two little icons, the favorite and the show me visually similar ones have gone from the top here down to next to every font. So what I can say is I can say, actually, I love this one, Myriad, I don't. And I love this Remachine, I'm gonna add these to my favorites. So it's not new, but it is in a new position. Now what I can do is I can filter by all my favorite ones. You can see, just got these two. So if you're working in a company and you've only got a couple of fonts to pick from, there's no point having this giant list that you've got to go and scroll through. One of the other ones they've moved is find similar. I love this one. So let's say Lust script here. I want to find visually similar. It's this two little waves. Okay, give it a click and it's going to go through and look at your machine and find ones that are visually similar. I don't know how it does it, but it does. Fair play's pretty close, just somehow knows. Really good. Maybe not that one. And undo. Another thing to note in here is that, I'm not sure if you remember, but I'm going to head back. They used to have up here, it says, show me all my Typekit fonts. Because Adobe is actually moving away from the word Typekit, they're going to call it Adobe fonts from here on in. And they've changed the icon into that little TK. I used to like it because I downloaded lots of fonts from Typekit. So I just want to show me the ones that I've downloaded and ignore the ones on my machine. Okay, but now they're calling it, what are they calling it? Show activated fonts. Okay, activated from the old Typekit or activated from the new Adobe fonts. It's the same thing, but the icon's changed and it's, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm used to this cloud with a tick next to it yet. One of the really cool enhancements though is the connection between that Adobe fonts, the old Typekit, is that you don't have to jump out to the website as much anymore. See this one that says find more? Okay, what it does is it allows you to activate fonts from Adobe fonts without having to go out to a website or any other sort of thing. You just do it within here. It's like having this ginormous font library that we haven't had to steal from different jobs we worked on. Okay, they're all just here ready to go. We never steal stuff. So you can see in here, all sorts of cool fonts. And you can say, actually, I want to find, I like this one here and I want to find visually similar ones. And so looking at Adobe fonts, Okay, and it's going through and slowly loading because it's connecting to the net. It's cool, huh? And you don't have to jump out. I can just say, you, go. Activate the font. Yes, please. And it just comes in my library and downloads. It's doing its little thing here. There it is there, installed, ready to go. Too good. Didn't apply it, not sure why, but it was Kumba. There it is, Kumba B. All right, so they've messed around with your character panel. They've renamed Typekit to Adobe Fonts, and my favorite one out of that whole bit is actually just going to find more, and you've just got a giant type library ready to go. No more 1001 free fonts or da font. All right, next feature. Actually, before we move on, if you're enjoying this video, could you like and subscribe? If it sounds like I'm begging, I kind of am. I'd love for this to be the trending video for the updates. So share, like, subscribe to my channel, drop me a comment. It all really helps this video do well. All right, now the next feature. Okay, the next feature is kind of a feature. It's good and bad, but I know it's going to drive you mad if you're an experienced Illustrator user. So for me, what it's doing now is, can you see the UI around the outside has got a lot bigger? Let's have a look at the original version. So this is 2018. It's kind of snug in the corners. So what they've decided is they've worked out a clever way of saying this particular monitor that I'm using. Okay, so I've plugged my MacBook Pro into this monitor, and it's a big 4K LG monitor. I love it. So it says, hey, it can, this size is big, so I can bump up all the sizes. And it's done that by default. Now yours might not look the same as mine. If you're working just on a small MacBook or MacBook Pro, it's going to be different. It tries to kind of identify the monitor size and resize appropriately. For me, it's driving me mad, especially when we're doing that last tutorial where we're kind of looking in here and it's all just a very bit big and squished into the corner. So to change it, okay, on a Mac, you go to Illustrator CC, Preferences, and then go to this one that says UI. Can't even find it, User Interface. If you're on a PC, okay, it's in a slightly different place. It's still called User Interface, but it's under Edit. And then in the bottom here, it'll say Preferences somewhere, okay, and then go to UI. But we'll end up at the same place. There we are. And it will decide. Now mine's only got 3 stops here because of the monitor that I'm using. Yours might have 4 stops or 5 stops. Basically, I just want to scale mine down. You can go bigger. Man, it gets into like giant mode. Anybody see The Simpsons when Homer had the dialing wand? His hands were too big. That's what that reminds me of. Okay, but for us, well, for me at least, I like it small. It's not even small, just like the way it used to be. Now this will be different for everybody, but the one thing you can kind of see the note down here, it says it'll only affect it once you've restarted it. So click OK, it's gonna say you need to restart. So I'm gonna click OK. It's gonna say, let's save that file you've got open, Dan, sure thing. All right, so mine's restarted now. I had to actually go and open my version. That didn't restart automatically. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But this is the way I'm going to carry on for the rest of this tutorial. Safety of a slightly slimmed down version. I like it like this. One of the other things while we're in there is you might want to, let's open up this one, gradients. This is a really handy thing for people. Okay, I've got my direct selection tool. I've just got one of the documents open from earlier. The handle size can be something that can be bumped up a little bit. Okay, so all these anchor points and handles are quite small. It doesn't really matter what your zoom level is. They're the same size. So in a very similar place. So instead of going to UI, so user interface, go to this one that says selection and anchor point display. You can see this one. The default is this size. If I crank it right up, it's not where I want it, but I'm just showing you for an example. Can you see how much bigger they are? That's really handy if you're new and you struggle with them, or if you're like me and you're an instructor for Illustrator. These things are really fiddly to work with. So I'm going to turn mine back to something a little bit more manageable. Remember on a PC, it's under Edit, Preferences, Selection and Display. I'm going to go back to something there. Okay, and I find that it's kind of a nice medium ground of size. Again, this really depends on the size of your monitor or the laptop screen you're using. It's not really an upgrade, but more of in case it's bothering you, you can go and do that. All right, next feature. All right, the next feature I want to show you is File Open, and it's called Puppet Pin. Open that one up if you're following along. But I can't show it to you. Why? Because the Puppet Pin tool's disappeared. And this brings up a feature. It's good for new users, but if you are an experienced user, you're going to be like, where did it all go? So they've tidied up the toolbar here to the ones that are used mostly. Just makes it easier for newbies, and I can see why, but I'm not a newbie. I want my toolbar to have everything. Well, at least I want most of it back, especially the Puppet Pin tool. This is called the basic toolbar. To add it all back, hit this little dot down the bottom here, the edit toolbar button. And up the top, there's this burger menu in the top right. Switch it back to advanced, and you go back to like the mad amount of extra ones with loads you'll never use, like the symbol sprayer. At the top here, you can use this little chevron here to make it a big long stack, or double arrows. I always have mine a big long stack for no reason. Brings up a good point though. There's lots of things in here we don't use, like the magic wand tool. So what you might do is experiment this with me. It's what I did and I've really liked it. So I'm going to put it back to the basic, okay? And what I'm going to do is just add the ones that are missing, because they've actually done a pretty good job of picking the ones that I use the most. And in this case, I need the puppet pen tool. So I'm just going to add them as I go and save it as my own toolbar. So in here, I'm going to drop it out and just have a little look through to look at the ones that are missing. Okay, you can kind of tell by the ones grayed out. And my one is down, oh, where is it? All right, puppet pen tool. I'll get the editor to speed this up because I can't see it. I know it's in there, but you're watching. All right, you're back. Found it. Didn't take too long. But to add it, okay, there's a couple of things you can do. First of all, just click, hold, and drag it. And I'm going to just put it just above my, you can see there, if I click here, or I'm just click, hold, drag, 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 drag. I'm not letting go of the mouse. You can see I can put it between here or group it. So I'm going to put it in between this one here, my puppet pen tool's back. But let's say you are like these ones here, the liquify tools. You're like, man, I'm a liquify tool all day long. What you can do is you can click the first one, hold shift, grab the last one, or we can hold down the command key on a Mac or control key on a PC and just kind of click the ones on and off that you want. Let's say I love all of these except for the scallop tool. What you can do is click, hold, and drag those over and put them in a gap. But can you see it's actually created your own like little group? Cool, huh? So you can really customize your toolbar. It gets better. Well, it gets better. Let's say that you're always using the free transform tool, but it's been removed. So what you're going to do is you're going to decide, I'm going to make my own little group by adding it to the rotation tool here. So I'm clicking, holding, and instead of putting it in between, I'm going to group it here. Cool, huh? Now, if you're sick of these tooltips as well, like I am, I can turn those off under general and you can disable those tooltips. I gotta leave mine on because I'm a trainer and I need to be the same as everyone else. All right, one last thing to show you is down the bottom here. So I've clicked the edit toolbar, these little group down the bottom here, and it's this group of icons here. So you can say, I often use that one. I don't often use the coloring option. You see there, your shortcuts for kind of adding a color, adding a gradient, or removing colors. I use that one all the time, the backslash. It's really handy if you just, I'm going off on a tangent a little bit. So I'm gonna grab this, and if I wanna remove the stroke, I just hit the backslash. No, it's the /. Down the bottom right of your keyboard, and even that can move around. So look for the / key, and it just kind of removes the stroke. That's a handy little shortcut. I never use this little icon there, so I'm gonna just turn that off. I don't use these drawing options either, draw inside, and I don't use that presentation option. I just wanna tidy it all up. Look at my sweet toolbar, clean and tidy. So if you are missing anything, that's how to get there and get them back. All right, so we can finally get onto the puppet pen tool. Now, if you were like, hey, didn't that come out last year? And it did. But what they've done is they've made it a whole lot easier to work with. So black arrow, I've selected this first whale here and click on the puppet tool. And often you got to give it a second. My one worked really fast that time. Normally takes forever. But the difference is, can you see it's actually added pins for me? Grab any one of them. Cool, huh? Okay, so the puppet pen tool just becomes a whole lot more usable. Let's have a practice with this one. So black arrow, select it all, grab the puppet pen tool. If you've never used the puppet pen tool, it's added some. I'm gonna add a couple of extras. So you just click anywhere to add them. Then we can kind of curl this around. Ah, amazing. Sometimes you gotta add them to add a bit of structure to it. If you need to delete them, click on one of them, hit delete. If you need to click on one and rotate it, okay, it's just like this little dotted line around the outside, kind of similar to that gradient thing, but you click and rotate this one here. Okay, click on them, rotate them. What I find it really useful is character animation, where you draw something and you can reorganize it, but I do it for lots for this sort of stuff as well. Like, don't think it has to be characters or puppets. Okay, selected this, I'll move it to the front. So with it all selected, puppet pen tool, and it's just really good for like deforming stuff. Okay, you can just keep adding, it's still vector, which is cool. And you can add sometimes you need a couple of pins for it to work, to get it to do what you want. There you go. Maybe add loads of pins first, Dan, before you start dragging it around. You get the idea. All right, and you can turn the mesh off as well. It's not that useful. I find it's just easy to work without it. All right, next feature. All right, the next features are to do with the properties panel. So what they've done is they've tried to streamline the properties panel. So there's some helpful stuff in here just to kind of make us a little bit easier to work in Illustrator while we're working. That makes sense. First one to show you is grab the direct selection tool. I've got properties.ai open. I'm going to click on this anchor point in the air here. Okay, and what they've done is they've dragged out the corner option. Wasn't even sure where that was before, but now it's nice and easy here. I can kind of increase it and do some actual physical measurements for corners to make sure they all match up. I've set to centimeters at the moment, but you can just type in 10 px and just click return, and it will do the adjustments for us. All right, next modification is the people that use the width tool a lot. Okay, I love it. I am going to white arrow, click on this guy. I am going to grab the width tool. Looks like the little harp or bow and arrow over here. If you haven't used it before, man, it's cool. But you probably have. Okay, so you can grab any of these lines here and just drag them out. And what they've done for the adjustments though, is they've actually brought the width profile out now so we can see it and work on it. Before, in the last version, so this is the 18 version, okay, the last one, width tool, grab it here. Where did they hide it? I think they hid it under, so it's not here. You had to go under stroke and it was kind of into here. Not a big drama, but they've dragged all of this useful stuff out. So the profile that it's using, you can kind of reset it back to normal. Well, normal-ish. Okay, and you can flip it. Let's have a little look at the new version. So with it selected here, you can see I can rotate it around the line, okay, around my shape. What else have they done with the properties panel? Open up blending options. Okay, if you are a blender, okay, like this kind of like lino cut thing I've done here. So I've got two separate shapes. I'm gonna use my width tool just to Hansen them up a little bit. Oh, look at that. Love the width tool. Blend them both together. Click in the background so they're deselected. Grab the blend tool. Okay, it's the one with the little squares to circles. And then up here, magically keep clicking until you see that little plus. Can you see my icon has the plus? So I've done like a one-step blend, and what you used to have to do is double click the tool, but now you've got blending options here in your properties panel. I can say specify steps. Yeah, let's have 10 of them, maybe 8 of them, preview it, maybe, maybe 11 of them. You get the idea. Got that kind of like lino cut effect. Now with these lino cuts here, they can look good with a bit of a drop shadow. I'm totally just adding a drop shadow so I can show you the next effect. Okay, so effect, stylize, drop shadow, turn preview on. Okay, and I've turned mine way down. So I've got it like 1 point by 1 point by 1 point, and I've lowered the opacity to 40% to make it less horrible. Let's click OK. What you can now do is if you've got something, if you've got an effect over here, you can see I've got a drop shadow applied. There's my like mini appearance panel. You can actually delete it from here. What you used to have to do is you'd have to go up into here and find it and delete it. Okay, that was the long way. Now what you can do is just find one like this fella, grab all 3 of these guys, and because there is an effect applied, you can hit the trash can. That only works if there's one effect applied. If you add loads of different effects, you still have to go into the appearance panel. All right, last update for the properties panel is for the variable fonts. Remember we looked at this last time, right? So I've just made a text box and I'm going to pick any of these. Can you see these open type fonts here? So that little icon that says var next to it, it means there's a variable type font and they are magic. So pick any of the ones that have them, the vars. Okay, I'm going to pick this Acumen. Okay, and the cool thing about it is because it's a variable font now, it's really easy with this little icon. This wasn't there before. If you click on it, it gives you this nice slider. If you've never seen a variable font before, this is pretty magical. Watch. Thin, and there's no like thick, thin, normal, medium, bold, black letter weights. It's just everything in between. I can't believe how this works. Okay, so every sort of weight in there, same with width. Okay, so you can pick super condensed all the way out to these really long extended versions. And then the slant here, okay, so italicizing it all the way over, back. They're not all, I picked this one because it has the weight, width, and slant, not all variable fonts. Some of them just have weight, some of them just have width. And at the moment, we only have a few built into, these come with Illustrator to kind of show it off. But if you've fallen in love with variable fonts, okay, you know it'll help you with your crazy job that whatever you're doing, go see if you can find some open type variable fonts and pay for them. There are more out there. All right, so that's it for the updates to the properties panel. Let's get to the next update. All right, the next one is good, kind of weird, kind of good though. It is something to do with actual size. So I've opened up actualsize.ai from the exercise files. And if we go to view, Adobe claims if I click on actual size and I click on this, now what size is it really in the real world? They say that that is, I'm using A4 because I am in Europe at the moment and everything I do is A4. But let's say it's US letter, doesn't matter. Whatever size it says it is, your screen should actually be that size right now. So I'm gonna hit the F key a couple of times F key twice. That kind of gets rid of all the toolbars and stuff. And I'm going to jump to real world Dan to grab a bit of paper and check that this is actually A4 in the real world. All right, so I'm here. This is the live view. Don't believe Adobe. My microphone's here, so it might get a bit quiet as I head off. But A4 paper, because I am in Ireland. It is totally A4, exactly to the pixel. So somehow that works. All right, let's jump back into the computer and move on to the next thing. All right, I don't know why I didn't trust Adobe, but it was nice to get out of the seat, walk around, grab some paper. Real stuff. Okay, so let's move on to one of the other new updates. This one is presentation mode. So just a second ago, I hit the F key a couple of times, and that kind of gets it into a similar kind of presentation mode, but it's not. So I tap the F key twice on my keyboard. It just kind of removes the background. You can still work, but you can see these guys side by side. So I was wondering why the presentation mode was different. So I tested it, and basically what it does is if you go to View and go to presentation mode, what it does is excludes everything else away, makes this full screen. So it's more like a PowerPoint slide. You can use your cursor, so I can go forward and back. Okay, so you could design, instead of using PowerPoint, you could use Illustrator to kind of design a really nice presentation and present it straight from your computer onto a big data projector or a big TV screen and not have to kind of do that hop through either PowerPoint or Mac's Keynote. It might be just pitching your design ideas to a client on your computer. Okay, gets rid of all the stuff in the background. You can cycle through it. Escape gets you out of it. One of the other ones that is new and it's quite cool is this document here has been set up with bleed. You can see in the corners here. Okay, so my A4 page actually ends at that. Let's get it nice and close. That black line there. So this stuff here is bleed. It's going to get trimmed off and thrown in the bin. So it's handy there while you're working, but it's kind of a pain. You want to just get rid of any stuff that's over the edges here. You can do that by going to View, and there's one that says Trim. It says somewhere Trim. There it is, Trim View. Okay, and it just cuts down everything that's in your pasteboard, and it only shows you everything on the artboard, or the canvas over here disappears. Just like InDesign, have you ever done it? Tap the W key to go into preview mode. Similar here in Illustrator. You might even set up that same shortcut. There's no shortcut for it at the moment. If you love it, you can go into shortcuts and make one. All right, you're probably looking at the timer going, man, this is long. How much more can there be? Just a couple more. Hang around for a little bit more. I'll show you the last ones and you will be totally up to date. All right, the next update is kind of a UI update just to make things easier to work with gradients. So different from the Freeform Gradient, this one got lumped towards the end of the video because it's good, but not life-changing. So I'm gonna go to Window, I'm gonna open up the Gradients panel, if I can find it, Gradient. So it looks different from the last one. I've actually done a screenshot and brought in this guy. This is the old version, so we can compare the two. You'll notice the big change is down the bottom here, you've got these circles instead of the little houses, which are just better represent the colors. So remember that thing doesn't work. I'm gonna click on this, that's my gradient. To add ones, it's the same, click anywhere in here. But what's really new and quite helpful is not just changing the colors here or changing them into circles. See this eyedropper? Didn't exist before. Now, though, I can go, where is this? There's my color. I can go, actually I've got it selected. I want that to be that color. So it's just a really easy way to pick colors and swatches from different parts of the document, okay, rather than double clicking them and going inside and messing around in here. What else has changed? There are icons along the top instead of a drop down. And in the older version of Illustrator, you can see that I've got the gradient tool selected here and it gives me this white blob and the square blob down the end. And it's not until I hover above it till it gives me the kind of color stops. Whereas in the new version, it's just a lot easier to use. Props to Illustrator for making these tiny changes just to make life a little bit easier. All right, so we've got one more to go through before we do our kind of conclusion and next steps for you. But before you do that, I'd really appreciate if you've liked it, hit the like button. If you like my teaching style, hit subscribe. If you're keen to do any of my courses, I've got courses across the entire Adobe suite, but with respect to this video, it's probably Illustrator Essentials or Illustrator Advanced. All right, last feature. All right, the last one is they've updated the outline view. If you love working in outline view, which is Command Y on a PC or Control Y on a Mac, or the long way, view outline, okay, I love working in this mode, especially when I'm kind of dealing with trying to connect anchor points and lines. You'll notice in the new version of 2019, it is super smooth. I'll get the editor to zoom in on it a bit, okay, so it looks really nice. Let's compare it to the other version, okay, the older version. Look how craggly that is. So we're gonna go from one version to the other version. I couldn't get them to quite line up, but you get the idea. And it's a little hard to show you here, but if you're working on really complex lines, so you've got like strokes everywhere, it just runs really fast when it's in outline mode now. Basically the GPU's helping out where it wasn't before. All right, so that's the last tip. If you've made it this far, hang about for a second. We'll do a bit of next steps, what you can do, but I'll do it in real life. Let's jump out now. All right, it is real me. My name is Daniel Scott, and you've been watching the Illustrator 2019 updates. What can you do next? There is a free cheat sheet, okay? It's just a printable PDF thing that I've made that you can download, print, stick next to your computer, and it has all the kind of tips and tricks and shortcuts for people using Illustrator. There is ones for Photoshop as well, and InDesign and After Effects. There's all sorts of stuff. You can get it from bringyourownlaptop.com and click on the resources tab along the top, and there's loads in there. It's free. No sign up, just download it and enjoy. The other thing you might do is that I've done updates for 2019 releases for all the software. Well, all the ones I know at least. So there's one for Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere, what else is there? XD, there's Animate, there's Dreamweaver. Okay, so go check out those videos if you want to get updated on all of those. But that is us, me and you, we're done. It's a long video. I'm glad you made it to the end, and I will see you again in a different video maybe. All right, bye now.